And now, for fans of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, this is Cheesehead TV Live.
Cheetahs don't stretch, and neither do we.
I think you're an idiot. And I mean that with the most respect possible that I can give to an idiot.
Packers Hall of Fame quarterback Jay Cutler.
It's not as fun to say as equanimous.
That is a perfect example of a wrong opinion. Ring the bell.
Now we have audio. Welcome to Cheesehead TV Live on the YouTube channel.
Welcome to Cheesehead TV
It's week
Live.
one.
Welcome to the Watershed. It's week one. Technical difficulties. Jason and Jeremy of Cheesehead TV here with you at the Watershed in Tempe. Again, there's a traffic issue in Phoenix, so that's why it's so quiet in the background, because no one's making any noise. Packer fans, are you out there?
There they are. Oh,
right.
shut your mouth over there, okay? Right. Bears fans. Okay. What the hell? What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing here?
Bears fan.
Right.
Singular.
We got one. He's going to start a fight tonight. I can feel it. There's going to be a fight in the bar.
All right. It's good to be back. Our situation here when we left last season was a little different than it is now, so we're glad that we're back to Watershed. Going to talk some Packers football and talk about this opener that the Packers and Bears were blessed to play in the 100th anniversary of the NFL. They pushed the lame-os aside who won the Super Bowl for the 80,000th time and said, let's try something else. And the Packers and Bears get week one Thursday night. What do you think? You excited?
Yeah, of course I am. It's week one of the NFL season, and it's Bears-Packers.
It's like you had to think about it for a second.
No, I'm just responding to people in the chat.
Oh, so. Don't do that. Never read the comments.
You never read the comments. Okay.
Never read the comments. All right, so Packers and Bears about to kick off soon. So as we have tinkered and tailored over Cheesehead TV and Cheesehead TV Live, we are working on some different things and some new formats. So instead of just going offense, defense, special teams, we're going to do our keys to the game. But, I mean, for real, Jeremy, we've waited, I feel like, 5 years for this season to come around. There's so much that's happened in this offseason. Packers have a new head coach. They have a bunch of new coaches, some new players, new free agents.
Yep.
They had a couple of really cool draft picks. A lot of these guys didn't play during the preseason. I don't know if we've officially given our take on whether or not we're worried about that.
I'm not. I was, and we'll talk a little bit more about predictions. Jason and I did a season prediction show recently with Jacob Westendorf, the Pulse of the Pack episode, the yearly tradition. But I think I've changed my mind on this football game, and we'll get into that by the end of this.
Oh, you mean who's going to win?
Who's going to win, exactly. Oh. So I think I've changed my mind.
Okay, well, listen, I have a problem with that, Jeremy. I just want to get this out of the way, and we have several witnesses here, too, that can hold you accountable. I can't have you calling audibles, okay? We're not going to do audibles this season.
You know what?
I can't have you calling audible. I call the plays.
This is
just
an example
run the play.
Of a bad relationship.
Run the play that I call.
Stop it.
Run the play that I call.
Okay, so real quick, audibles. Before we get into offense and defense and whatnot, let's talk about the inactives tonight. Oren Burks, obviously inactive. Kadar Holman, Darius Shepard, Cole Madison, Dexter Williams, and surprisingly to me, Kingsley Keke is not active tonight, and Alex Light. So that is your list of inactives for the Packers. For the Bears, we got Kevin Tolliver, Kareth White, Josh Woods, Rashad Coward, which seems, that makes sense. He's not going to play.
Right.
Okay, Abdullah Anderson, Trey Burton, and Riley Ridley. So no Trey Burton for the Bears tonight, which is a huge relief for the Green Bay Packers. Thank God, no Trey Burton. One less thing to think about on that crappy Bears offense. And yes, I said crappy. Get angry in the chat. I don't care.
Okay, it's really more the crappy turf at Soldier Field.
No, you're right.
Which fortunately the Packers are getting in week one before it's been mulched up and torn up. So
right.
That'll be a good thing. So, yeah, Trey Burton being out is going to be interesting for the Bears. And then on the Packers side of things, I had Kingsley Keke as the team's rookie of the year, so I guess that's not going to happen. He's not even playing in the opener.
Right.
So, okay, well, that was a miss by me. All right, that's fine. Okay, so why don't we start with our offensive keys to the game?
All right.
Keys to the game.
Offense.
Blitz. Rodgers steps away, in trouble, throws as he's hit, and it isn't caught. It is touchdown. Adams. How did he catch that?
Okay, so obviously the big key on offense is the quarterback because he has had a down year last season. He had the knee injury, which he suffered in week one against these similar Bears at Lambeau Field and never really recovered from it. The Packers had a terrible season. So everyone's wanting to see if Aaron Rodgers can return to form. He's obviously the biggest key to the game. So to start there, Does he come out hot, or do we have a little bit of rust to knock off?
I think there might be a touch of rust, but I don't really think it's going to be rust. I just think that's going to be about the change of the offense and getting into a game situation. I don't think the preseason is going to be that big of a deal, especially against a football team that also didn't play their starters in the preseason. So I'm not concerned about that. I just think with a new offense in Green Bay, the Packers it's going to take a little bit of time to get that rolling. And that, to me, is the one factor that I feel like if they lose tonight, it's going to have to do with the fact that they're not quite rolling where they need to be at. Mm-hmm. So it's not about rust. It's just big changes in Green Bay. They're going to have to figure those things out.
So the big key is, and it's the obvious, but it's establishing the run. It's getting the run game going with Aaron Jones, the offensive line, gelling, get into a rhythm. Aaron Rodgers calling the plays. You're going to use the same cadence, the same calls. It's live. This is live. So, and Aaron Jones didn't play at all in the preseason. That's really a lot to blame on Winnipeg, Canada, because that field in Winnipeg was terrible. So none of these guys got to play at all in that game.
Right.
So that's my biggest key is get the run started, which is going to be easier said than done. The Bears, for as much as I don't know that they can repeat what they did last year, their defense is still really, really good. So the front is not something you mess with, and it's going to be a huge challenge, obviously with the pass rush, but then also running the ball. You still have Khalil Mack and all the rest of those guys up front there. Right. So to me, the biggest key to start off with, I would say offensive line and the run game. Yeah, establishing the run. Absolutely.
Yep. The run is huge, and the concern about Aaron Jones in his injury past. Can he last a full season? I don't know, but if he can last this football game, it's going to be great for the Packers because that guy's ready to go off. I think the Bears are going to come out ready to get after Rodgers. Last year, the Packers passed for, 76% of the time they passed the football, and the Bears aren't going to be used to what the Packers are bringing to the table this season, and that includes the running game. The running game is going to be a huge, huge part of that. So, yes, definitely a key of the game there. My biggest key of this game is the screen game. They have to use the screen game. They have to do what they can to slow down that Bears pass rush and get those guys to slow down, hold up, and keep Khalil Mack at bay. If you can succeed in the screen game and you can succeed with quick passes early in the game and then run, they're going to have to slow up and consider those things, as well as the fact that, Aaron Rodgers can still run regardless of his age. Yeah,
it's going to take a while for that to get going, though. The screen is something that your well-oiled offense runs. You start doing that right out of the gate with not a lot of practice. They've practiced plenty, but in-game, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be as smooth and flawless as you'd like for it to be. So that's a great thing. I'd love to see it. I just don't know how much it's actually going to happen.
I think they're going to come out with it pretty fast. I think they're going to be throwing to running backs pretty quickly, including the screen game. They're going to be including the fullback in the passing game, which is going to be awesome and a brand new thing for Green Bay to actually use a fullback. But not only that, throw that guy the football. That sounds awesome. So they're going to use backs. They're going to use them any way they can.
The quick pass was my other key. The quick pass was my other key was tire out the defense, get them running and not getting anywhere.
Yep.
Get the ball out of Aaron's hands before he runs into problems. I still think old habits die hard, and so his tendency to want to wait and look for a bigger play, that's not necessarily a result of his being bored with the Mike McCarthy offense. I think that's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
And you might see some of that tonight, and it might be frustrating, and everyone might say, okay, what's the difference? It's a different coach. It's the same thing. That's if you've ever played sports, when you fall into habits and you have tendencies, those are really hard to break.
Yeah.
So it may develop a little bit later, but this is week one. Week one, crazy things happen. And that could be one of the crazy things that happens is it looks a lot like last year's team in some ways.
I'm going to throw one more out there. The misdirection. The misdirection they will run in this offense, giving you one look and running multiple things on it, play after play, and they're going to move pieces, and they're going to send guys in pre-snap. They're going to have pre-snap reads, so the defense is going to see their pre-snap reads, and suddenly the offense is going to look different. And suddenly they're going to run a play that, hey, we're used to this. We've seen this 3 times, and boom, they're going to go deep. Or they're going to be running a lot of a motion that's going to look like they're going to run jet sweep, and suddenly they're bombing it. So it's going to be, for this offense, that is a key part of what Matt LaFleur wants to do. And tonight against this defense, misdirection, slowing up that pass rush, I think those to me are the biggest keys against this defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, week one, everything gets squirrely.
Yeah.
Everything gets squirrely. Everything gets difficult.
Yeah.
So
you want to get into defense?
Let's go on the defensive
side.
side.
All right, let's do it. keys to the game.
Defense.
They bring everybody. Allen trying to get out of trouble. Allen chucks it downfield. Intercepted. Allen has it picked off. Jair Alexander is brought down, and the Bills come up empty.
All right, on the defensive side of the ball, so this is a little bit more of continuity here because you've got Mike Pettin returning as defensive coordinator,
yes.
But there's some new free agents. You have Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, then you still have you have Rashawn Gary that they're going to work in there. You got Kenny Clark, who's going to play. Kyler Fackrell, who's back there. Then on the back end of the defense, you got Jair Alexander, Kevin King, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. These guys are all going to play finally. We haven't really seen a lot of them together.
Yep.
So, again, it's the same thing as on offense. It takes a while to get your feet under you, and it all comes down to who's got more speed, moxie, and confidence. And the Bears are at home, and I can see this defense starting out slowly. It might not end that way in the game, but I can see the defense starting out slowly and the Bears having their way early offensively just because it takes a minute to kind of get back on track with how fast things are. Tariq Cohen, the running back for the Bears, is really fast.
Yeah.
So defensive speed, I think, is going to be a really, really big thing. I mean, we can talk about the pass rush all we want, but I think that might actually be a counter, an issue for Green Bay, because if you get too aggressive, you don't want Mitch Trubisky to have to win a game for you yet.
And that's and that's one of my keys to the game. Is exactly that.
You'll overrun the play.
Stay home. Okay, tackling is, we agreed, tackling is the one biggest must because this team is going to run the football, right? And that's something they're going to have to figure out. And we've seen in the preseason, they're not a very good tackling team. So that's going to have to be cleaned up immediately. But the other thing is stay home against this Bears team. Do not go too hard at the quarterback because this is a team that succeeds throwing the ball to running backs, throwing those screens. They do that. They do it well. And that's going to be a challenge for this Packers defense. Game one, they can't totally unleash. They just can't.
Well,
because if you get after Mitch Trubisky a little too hard, he'll escape. He's got legs. He's not Tom Brady. He's not standing still in the pocket. He's not a statue. He can move.
So for those of you who are still bummed out that Clay Matthews is not on the Packers anymore, one thing that you might not miss is Clay overrunning the play and outrunning the pocket, and overdoing his responsibility. The Packers have to have that discipline. It's really important. Hopefully they will. The one thing I like about the change and the youth and other guys is there's a lot of history here. Sometimes that can get inside your head as a player who's been on a team for a long time and you've played an opponent many, many times. But a lot of these new players don't care. They don't know what the history of it. They know the rivalry is important. They understand the significance of it.
Right.
But they haven't been through it, and they're not necessarily intimidated by it. And that's a good thing, I think, if the Packers just come in here and play their game and don't get befuddled by the obvious thing. That's something that happened too often over the past couple seasons under Mike McCarthy. And I think coaching is a huge factor. Matt LaFleur being in his first year, there's going to be times this season where he is probably going to cost the Packers not necessarily a game, but he's learning how to manage at the head coach level.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing too, is keep your team together and make sure that you're prepared for when things go off the rails and you're calling plays and you've got a lot of other things going on, that you're ready for all of it.
Yeah.
And as a first-time head coach, I'm sure he's probably got massive butterflies.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing too, is keep the composure. I think that all goes together. Keep your composure on the sideline, and that's got to start with the head coach.
All right, I got a question here from Brandy Lewis. She said, well, it's not really a question as much as it's a statement that we can agree with. The Packers have the talent to play disciplined defense, which they did not have with a guy like HaHa Clinton Dix playing defense and Clay Matthews playing defense. It was just it was out of control in a lot of ways, and they've fixed that with a lot of pieces. Adrian Amos is going to be more under control than HaHa Clinton Dix ever was. And, well, these pass rushers, I think it remains to be seen what that's going to be like. But those are guys that can win at the point of attack, get into the gap they want to be in, and sit there because they're big. They're strong guys. We're talking outside linebackers that can also play D-end because they're 270 instead of 260, which is what Clay played at. So, and Kyler Fackrell's what, like 250? That guy weighs like nothing, right?
Yeah,
but when
and he's 6'3" on top of it, so he's a
when
beanpole.
Zadarius Smith comes out on the field and Preston Smith come out on the field and Rashawn Gary, those are some big, beefy boys that are going to be able to win at the point of attack, hold their spot, get into the gap, and stay there. And that's what the Packers need up front. And on the back end, they need consistency out of guys like Adrian Amos, and they can find that.
Yeah, so Sir Packer says he's missing the live blog at the site. and it was a cost thing, and it was also the monitoring that and the YouTube chat at the same time just got a little cumbersome. So now everyone just come to the YouTube page. It's free, and chat with us there.
That's right.
Send us your questions there. So defensively, obviously, we can talk all day about the schemes and the ins and outs of it all, but the point is you got to keep Chicago out of the end zone. You got to keep them out of the end zone.
Keep them out of the end zone.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. I'm not too concerned. If you have questions, throw them up in the chat. This is a great time to answer some questions. But I just want to say, this offense that the Bears have last year against the defense that the Packers had with the issues they were struggling with in Week 15, they didn't have Kenny Clark. They didn't have Mike Daniels. I think Jair got hurt in that game, and the Bears only put up 24 points. They only beat the Packers by 1 score. By the way, a Packers team whose offense was struggling by then. They had gone through a terrible season. Aaron Rodgers is playing with a broken bone in his leg. He's got a chip in his leg, and he played like crap most of the season.
And by the way,
they
they had a chance to tie the game. They were were knocking on the door before my prediction from 5 days earlier somehow came true exactly as stated.
So,
which was disappointing.
I don't think Bears fans, talking to you over there.
I don't think you shouldn't think about Bears fans at all.
They should. Well, that's true, but I don't think you should get too comfortable. Okay, you won Week 15 last week by less than a score against a team that was just bad. Okay, your number one defense struggled against Aaron Rodgers on a messed up leg in Week 1. He's healthy right now. You should be nervous more than you're confident. You should be more nervous than anything right now.
You know what? Enjoy the hell out of tonight, because I think you'll be pleased with the outcome tonight, but it's a 16-game season. So, Locked On, I get that it's like Peter Bukowski's a fan of the Packers. He's Locked On Packers.
Yep.
Locked On Bears, the guy had the Bears at like 6-1 to start the season.
Yeah.
No, 8-2, and beating the Rams. I'm writing this down.
Man, I had the Packers losing 3 games in the first month.
8-2 is
3 games in the first month.
But I mean, that's the thing though. They start 8-2. It's curtains.
Curtains doesn't end well.
No, Bears run away with it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
run away with it.
There's a lot to be excited about with this Packers team. There's a lot of question marks still, but tonight we finally get to have some of those questions answered, and I'm pumped. This is the most excited I've been for a season in a few years. Matt LaFleur, it just feels like a breath of fresh air is coming. We are here. We are ready to roll. Yeah,
some of the questions will get answered. I don't know if one game, the first game of the season, answers a ton. Some of them, a few.
Yeah.
Most namely, the quarterback and the head coach are not feuding, people. They're not fighting. It's not a thing.
Do we even need to talk about that?
No, we don't, but they're not feuding. They're not fighting. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
So I did also say, too, I audibled.
Yeah.
I audibled. You handled it very well. One of my other keys was turnovers, which we didn't talk about on the defensive side of things. Obviously, you can't turn the ball over, and you want to get turnovers. I think if the Packers want to win this game, they have to somehow manage to get at least 2.
At least 2.
Yeah.
Well,
which is hard.
Like I said early in the season, during training camp, I said they need a top 10 defense this year. And that's got to start right now.
Well,
that's got to start right now.
That's hard. I mean, and if they're going to get to that point, I think the way that I saw the Packers play in the preseason.
Yeah.
Because unless you're literally playing a completely different sport than what I saw, this defense is going to struggle with tackling.
Yep.
For a while. It's going to be a struggle, and so if they're going to become a top defense, it is going to be a mad charge at the end of the season to make that happen.
So Brian Farrow in the chat said he just joined the Patreon. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/Cheesehead TV Live. You can jump in there and support us. There's plenty of levels there for you to look at and check out the rewards for those. Thank you so much for the support. That's fantastic. Also, if you are looking to talk Packers with Packer fans, and maybe even you want to win something, you should join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/CHTV Live, and jump into the conversation. We are giving away tonight at halftime. We're giving away an autographed 8x10 of Blake Martinez in the Facebook group. So if you want to win the 8x10 of Blake Martinez, jump in the Facebook group. The instructions for that are pinned at the top. Jump in, do the thing, win the photo. Win it. Win that autograph.
Yeah, and we're going to have other giveaways throughout the season and things that we'll give away, and there's different levels on the Patreon that you can jump in and take advantage of. So definitely do that and support us as much as you can. It won't make us look any prettier, but we can at least try to dress up the backdrop.
Yep.
I don't know. Thank you. I know. Hey, I appreciate that. I don't know if that round of applause was for me or the lovely lady that just walked in. Oh, the other Bears fan?
No.
I know this Bears fan.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I know you both.
Jeez. All right. Hey,
see, Christina, you're not the only one. You got at least one friend in the house today.
Real quick, if you're
he's a regular. He knows this place very well.
If you're in the YouTube chat, hit that like button. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to Cheesehead TV. If you are watching the show and you're a Packer fan, but you're not subscribed to Cheesehead TV, well, I don't understand. Just do that. Hit that subscribe button. All right. Mike Witt says he's scared.
Scared of what?
Should he be scared?
Scared of what?
No, I don't think. Look, the Bears are good. Right? We all know
I
the
saw
Bears are
people.
good.
I saw people on Twitter. I saw people on Twitter that were like butterfly, and at like noon today, they were already like, and I'm like, really?
Hey man,
Is it like that?
Todd,
is it like that? Really? At 12 o'clock today? He's confident but not cocky.
Dude, I was laying in bed last night thinking about it. Like, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow. And just like, I just can't wait. I'm ready. It's all I could think about. So yeah.
It's Mitch Trubisky. You're scared?
But it's not just Mitch Trubisky. It's David Montgomery, which is an uncertainty.
Okay.
We don't know.
Never played an NFL game before.
We don't know how good David Montgomery could be. Yes, you're right. He's never played in an NFL game before.
Listen,
but this team does not tackle, and that's a concern. That is a concern. So
yeah.
I understand your fear, Mike. It makes sense to me to be a little nervous, but don't be too scared. You still got 12 running your offense, right?
Okay. Christian Williams, how much do you think we see of Gary tonight? That is the million-dollar question. I don't think they're going to play him a ton. I think they'll rotate him in. Now, he gets in and starts. It's a good matchup, and he's taken the left tackle to task. Then we could see more of it. That would actually be really cool because there was a lot of vitriol coming his way in the preseason for having really done nothing and not played well optically. I don't know how much of that was by design, how much of it was playing time, or if it was Gary just learning the game. I don't think he's quite ready, NFL ready yet. But he's a rookie. You have to work him in. I don't care if he's the 12th overall pick. That's just life. That's just the way it goes.
Well, like I said in the last show, I think it was the last show we talked about Gary. I'm not concerned about Gary because right now, yes, he's got things to work on. He has to diversify his pass rush portfolio. He's got to add to that list. But right now, all they need to do is scheme that guy a shot at the quarterback, and that's what this defense does, and that's what they'll do. And Gary is athletic enough to take that opportunity and make something of it. He's fast. He's big. If they give him the opportunity to get a free shot at the quarterback, which is what Mike Pettin wants to do with his defense, he's going to get his shot. So even though it's going to be a slow process for Gary, don't be surprised if he gets a sack in the first few weeks.
Which would be wonderful. And then
if he gets one tonight, don't be surprised.
And then, of course, the obligatory question, Matt asks, how many sacks will Matt get? Well, he's going to get at least one.
Yeah.
You can't shut him out.
Yeah.
Mac is like the one of the few defensive players that you can almost treat like an offensive player, where it's like he's not like, how many games did Barry Sanders rush for negative yardage? There weren't games that he rushed. There was a lot of runs for negative yards, but not games. Like you're not gonna keep him in check the whole time.
You're not. He's dominant, and he's gonna play against Brian Bulaga at some point, right? He's gonna play on the other side against Bakhtiari, but he still has to line up he moves around, right? So I don't think you should expect him to come out of this game without at least one.
Right. So Mike Witt, he's the one who said it. I was scared. So his issue is kind of similar to what I think a lot of fans are, where it's not really necessarily the team losing. It's having to deal with your friends and coworkers when you go back to the office that are fans of the team that just beat your team.
Yeah.
There's so much of that.
Man, Bears fans are just so intolerable. I can't stomach the trash talk from Bears fans. You guys, you're just so brutal, and you've done nothing.
That they're you know what, they're kind of benign. I mean, all you have to do is just flash the last 20 years in front of them.
You're right.
Right? They understand the situation. They get the big picture-ness of it. We got Packers and Bears fans hugging in the audience right now. This is disgusting. This is not what you want.
Oh my gosh! All right, if you're in the chat, throw us your keys to the game. Maybe we'll get to some of those. Throw your keys to the game out here. I think this game tonight is going to be a blast. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to feel a lot like Week 1 last year, and I'm excited for it. Okay, yes, I'm a little nervous. It's the Bears. I always want the Packers to beat the Bears. It's in Chicago, but I'm not concerned. I'm not too concerned. There's Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball to Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones still kind of an unknown of what he's going to look like in this offense. There's so much to be excited about on the offensive side of the ball for
There's
the
a
Packers.
lot to be excited about. I'd like to see it happen too.
Well, we're gonna. Now's the time, my friend.
I will just tell you this. I am really proud of the chat here. I haven't seen one fantasy football comment, and now they're going to start to come, which is fine.
Right.
No one cares about your fantasy football team.
Yep.
Right?
Big B
this
says.
This is a Packers bar. We're about the Packers. I don't care.
Well, I'm going to talk fantasy later. Probably just to myself because no one cares. Okay,
no, that's just me. I just say I don't care about your fantasy football team. Obviously, it's another season. Everyone's really excited. I do hope your players and your teams get off to a great start tonight, and most of them because of the Packers performing well.
Big B says Aaron Jones is his key to the game. I got a couple people saying quick passes are keys to the.
They're right on the same page with us.
Yep.
Don't break contain. That Maxwell Bueller. Don't break running back contain. I mean, these are things that the Packers have done so poorly over the past couple seasons. I want to know. I want to see it different. I want to see it. I want to see it look different.
They don't have Nick Perry and they don't have Clay Matthews, and those are the two guys dependent to hold down the end. Especially they depended on Clay Matthews to hold down the end, and now that you're not doing that, that's a big upgrade to not have to depend on that guy to hold that because he didn't. He just didn't. Okay, he was so busy just trying to get to the quarterback, he didn't even think about those things. So that's going to help. Running back contain is very, very important. You are correct. Let's see. The other thing is Matt Nagy versus LaFleur is the key, according to Lupo, and I don't disagree.
Why don't they just let those two guys go to midfield and fence it out? Why can't they just have a fencing match between LaFleur and Nagy and just see who actually wins?
That's the halftime show.
That's phenomenal. I would love that.
Brandy says time of possession, I don't disagree, could be very important in this game, especially two teams that do want to run the ball, and the Bears do it well, and the Packers need to establish that they do it well. It's two teams that want to use it. Running the ball is going to be crucial here. Time of possession could be huge in this football game.
David Y wants to know how much Ty Summers will play. Somehow, surprisingly enough, tonight, I'll bet you we don't see a lot of Ty Summers on defense. I'll bet you it's mostly special teams.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think they are going to play a lot of nickel and dime, and even with the Bears trying to run the ball, they're still going to spread it out. So it's not going to be a lot of base defense, and Ty Summers isn't going to come out unless they're in base, and he's not going to be the first guy to come out. I just don't see that happening. I mean, personally.
Everybody on NBC is picking the Bears except for Mike Tirico.
Obviously, Blake Martinez will
Mike Tirico, we love him. And you know what? We should bust up some when we play Denver. When the Packers play the Broncos in Week 3, we need to pull out that Favre to Jennings in overtime audio.
Yeah.
In Week 3.
Week 3. I'll throw that in there for sure. All right, real quick.
We're gonna wrap it up in a minute here. What do we got before we close it out?
We need to do our predictions. We need to do our predictions tonight. Jason, how do you see this game turning out?
I think they'll play 4 quarters, and there'll be a winner at the end of it, and then a loser on the other side.
You are useless.
I don't think there'll be a tie. No, it's not going to be a tie. So it's Week 1. Crazier things have happened, so it could go either way. I just think the Packers. I didn't love what I saw from the defensive discipline in the preseason, and you can discount that all you want. I think it's going to play a factor. I think the Packers play a good game. I think they give us a reason to be optimistic and hope for a lot of things. But it's in Chicago, and I think they come up just short. But it's only Week 1, and then you get the road game against the Bears out of the way, and hopefully you get out of the game healthy, and you go into Week 2, and you beat the hell out of the Minnesota Vikings at home next week.
All right, real quick, Uncultured Barbarian threw up my favorite name in the chat for his keys to the game, Big Bob Tonyan. Big Bob Tonyan is the key to this football game.
Well, with no Jay Sternberger, he's going to be a bigger key than he was before.
He is going to be. Okay, real quick before I give my prediction, who has more snaps tonight, Mercedes Lewis or Big Bob Tonyan?
Bob Tonyan.
Who has more snaps tonight, Big Bob Tonyan or Jimmy Graham with his hurt thumb?
Jimmy Graham.
All right. You heard it here. Okay, so I'm going to say tonight, I think it is going to be a close game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to come right down to the end, and the Packers are going to pull it off. It's going